All right. Act 2 of Romeo and Juliet starts out in a very similar way that Act 1 does, as in, it has a prologue. Now, why Shakespeare has decided to put a prologue on Act 2, no one really knows. There aren't a lot of other plays that he has even one prologue, so definitely a second prologue is interesting. Now, our chorus comes back, and this prologue is simply a recap of what has happened so far. So we talk about how old desire is now in its deathbed. So Romeo's love for Rosaline is now dead. It's important too to realize that there is a theme that Shakespeare tries to draw in Romeo and Juliet between love and death. There are a lot of references of love and death being related and being intertwined, and that has to do with the fact that our two tragic lovers die in the end. So love and death definitely go hand in hand a lot. So it talks about how now he is over Rosaline, a new love, a new young affection comes in uh, to be the heir to Rosaline's love. He's in love with Juliet, and important here, he is beloved. So that means he's actually having his love returned this time. Okay, so Juliet is in love with Romeo. Romeo and Juliet love each other the same exact amount. Okay, this is meant to be. They're bewitched by the charms of looks, so they are in love with each other's beauty. No one surpasses the beauty of Juliet, and she also steals bait from fearful hooks. And now this is an important metaphor because we have to realize that the Montagues and Capulets still hate each other, right? So it's still a risk taking that sweet bait from Romeo's fishing line, right? From his hook. So she has to be careful. So does Romeo, right? So even though they're in love, right, there's still a lot of risks and dangers. They can't meet each other anywhere. They have not a lot of means to meet each other because they have to sneak around, right? But their passion will lead them to meet, and they will have good times. They will have an extreme sweet amongst the bad times, okay? The tempering extremities. So, a hopeful chorus. Maybe this is meant to give us a little bit of hope because we know that this is a tragic play. So, we start in Scene 1 of Act 2 in the Capulet's garden. Romeo, he's wandering around, and he's a little bit mopey. And he says, "Can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find thy center route." So how can he move on when his heart, Juliet, is still here? He can't leave Juliet without talking to her. So he actually runs away and he ditches Benvolio and Mercutio, who aren't super pumped about that, okay? So they go looking for him. Benvolio's calling out for Romeo, and then Mercutio's like, yeah, you know what? He's pretty smart. He's actually gone home to sleep. Benvolio's like, no, no, no. He ran this way, and there's a wall to the orchard, and Romeo's actually climbed the wall and jumped over it to run towards the Capulet's house. So Benvolio's like, okay, like Mercutio, can you call out for him? And Mercutio's like, nay, I'll conjure him too. And when you conjure something, you're conjuring spirits, right? So Mercutio thinks that Romeo, for all intents and purposes, is kind of like not with him on this world. So he's trying to conjure his spirit as well. And he does so in a mocking way. He calls him a madman. He calls him a lover. He calls him a lover boy. And he's like, just sigh so I know you're here. So he's making fun of him because he thinks Mercutio and Benvolio think that Romeo has ran off because he is still heartbroken over Rosaline, right? They don't know that he's met Juliet and he's fallen in love, right? So Mercutio is mocking him in many different ways, just trying to get some sort of reaction from him. He calls out to the god of love, Venus. He calls out to her son, Cupid, and is like, hey, lover boy, like, here's the god of love. Do you want to come out and meet her? And he's just trying to get a reaction. He heareth not, he stirreth not, he moveth not. So he cannot hear, he does not stir, he does not move. And then I love this line, the ape is dead and I must conjure him. And then Mercutio starts saying, ooh, Rosaline's here, her bright eyes, her high forehead, her scarlet lip, anything to try to get Romeo to react and to come out or to even say something. And then Benvolio, he has a laugh and he says, you know what, if he hears you talking about Rosaline like that, you're going to anger him, right? You're going to piss him off. And Mercutio's like, you know what, like, why would that anger him? I've done nothing wrong. I haven't done anything nefarious. I haven't conjured a spirit to mess with Rosaline. All I'm simply saying is I'm just calling Rosaline's name out, right? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything mean. And then Benvolio's like, okay, sure, whatever. I know he's in these bushes somewhere. He's hiding in the dark, and his blind love fits the dark, right? Because if his love is blind, he might as well be in the dark where he can't see anyway. Mercutio, he says, you know what? If love is blind, how is it going to be able to hit the mark? Okay, if love is blind, how are you ever going to have success? Mercutio here, he makes a couple more dirty jokes at Romeo's expense, and then says that the field is too cold for me to sleep. Let's go. And Benvolio's like, you know what? Doesn't look like anything we're doing is really helping out. It doesn't look like he wants to be found. So let's go home. Let's leave Romeo behind. And then they leave Romeo all alone.